Okay, I think we're good.
To everyone. We're going to call this meeting to order. It's 2 o'clock, and this is the June 3rd, 2024 meeting of the Board of Adjustments. I want to take a few minutes to review our general operating procedures. This meeting is divided into two sessions, the public hearing session and the deliberation session. In the public hearing session, the agenda item is called. The applicant makes their presentation. Board members ask questions. Members of the public may make their comments. Only 4 people may speak for an agenda item and 4 people against. Each speaker is limited to 5 minutes, subject to questions by the board. After 1 minute remaining, you will have a warning bell or beep prompting you to summarize your comments. After speakers have finished the application, the applicant is allowed 2 minutes for rebuttal. Let me make sure we have clarity on that. After opposition speakers have finished, the applicant is allowed a 2 minute rebuttal. If you do intend to speak, we ask that you will come to the podium, speak into the microphone, and provide your name and address for the record. Direct all comments to this board or to staff and not to any other persons in the building. Let me go over that again. Direct all comments to the board only and not to the applicant, staff, or the audience. After hearing all applications, the board will go into deliberation session. In deliberations, the board members may discuss each application with input from staff as necessary, but with no input from the audience. The board then votes on each application. The results of the meeting can be learned from the planning department at 251-208-5895. If some issues arise during the deliberation session that were not addressed in the public hearing, the chairman has the discretion to allow additional comments pertaining to those issues in order to resolve them, or call for the applicant or the application to be held over for discussion at a future meeting. Now, occasionally, a board member may recuse themselves from discussing and voting on a given application. A recusal does not mean the member is directly involved with the application or the applicant. However, depending on the circumstances, ethical rules may require a recusal, even if there is only the slightest appearance of a conflict of interest. To take 5 votes affirmatively to approve an application. The decisions of the board are final with appeals to of these decisions to the circuit court, asking that you would please turn off all cell phones and electronic devices at this time. Commissioners and staff, please turn your microphones off when speaking. Allow me at this time now to call the roll. William Guest, our chairman, is out today. Mr. Lewis Golden, Mr. Adam Metcalf, Mr. Jeremy Milling, Mr. Chris Carroll,
Here.
Mr. Gregory Morris,
Here.
Mr. Taylor Atkinson, the supernumerary member, and I'm Sanford Davis. I'm the vice chair, and I'll be presiding. We got all that out the way now. Doug Anderson is our counsel, our able counsel, and he's been with us for quite some time. Allow me to give him the floor so that he could come and.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have two guests with me today. I'd like to introduce to y'all. Sitting behind me are our two law clerks who are with us this summer. Hannah Palmer, who just finished her first year at Alabama Law School. She's a graduate of McGill-Toolen. And Zach Stanton, who just finished his second year at Alabama Law School, and he's a graduate of Spanish Fort High School. I wanted to bring him down here and show what a board can do better than the city council. So y'all go to it.
Amen. Amen. Would you like for them to greet us? The present. Would you like for them to greet us?
No.
Okay. Okay. Let us move forward. We have 6 members here. It's going to take 5 of us to affirm a motion. BOA case number 0029382024, case number 6589, 557 St. Louis Street. Would you please come?
Dwayne Smith, 50 North Florida Street. HFI 1 is one of my companies. We are looking at redeveloping the building at 557 St. Louis Street as an office. It's actually going to be our office. The purpose of this request is twofold. One, the Downtown Development District regulations require windows have a light transmissivity of 0.78. However, energy code, the 2015 energy code the city has adopted, the max light transmissivity you can get out of a window is 0.72. So there's a conflict between the two, and that portion of this is nothing more than to clear up that conflict and allow us to put in windows allowed by or required by energy code when we redevelop the building. The second portion of this is one of the very few commercial buildings in downtown Mobile that has a gable or roof where you can actually see the roof. There's one error in the staff report. It was noticing it was a shingle roof. It's not. It's a metal roof now. It's about half there. Half is gone over the years. This property is being brought back and is being approved by the state, federal historic committees or whatever. Everything's historically being approved. So there's nothing I can do to change the exterior of the building. They're going to require that stay the same. So all I'm asking to do is use kind of a dark gray roof instead of the Downtown Development District's required Galvalume roof, which is shiny silver. And that's to make it blend with the surroundings. On most commercial buildings, especially in downtown, you don't ever see the roof because they're flat roofs. So this will be one of the few buildings you actually see the roof. So I'm just trying to make it blend and not stick out.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
what material is the roof, or would the roof be?
It'll be aluminum metal.
Oh, okay, so it is
So,
metal roof.
this
just the
building
color
is-
metal roof.
Yeah, it's still going to go back as metal because that's what the historic people will require.
That's fine.
But this building is about 80 to 90% metal roof. The front 10, roughly 18 feet is actually had an old flat roof on it, or used to have a flat roof. That'll go back as a flat roof just like it did. The current metal portion will go back as metal just as it is.
Okay. Anyone would like to speak in support of this application? Anyone in opposition? The board will now go into deliberations and the discussion that we need to have as it relates before we vote. Anyone? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve, subject that the variance will not be contrary to the public interest, that special conditions do exist with regards to the requirement of the historical tax credits and from the state historic tax credit organization. It will not create an unnecessary hardship, and the spirit of the chapter will be observed and substantial justice done.
I would like to move this motion, but I can't without a second. It's been motioned and seconded. You've heard it as stated. Are you ready to vote? All in favor? Aye. Opposed is none. Application approved. Our second application is, let me get to it. 0029392024, 6590, 957 Minor Street.
Good afternoon to the board. Good afternoon to the board. My name is Maddie Wimberly Oliver, and I'm here.
Address, please. Your address, please. Address.
957 Minor Street, Mobile, Alabama, 36617. And we're here, we fill out an application for a variance. And according to the development code that I looked up and I did some research, that the single family homes in the urban district in the Tobinville area, they was built around about 1930, 1940, 1950. And my home, from the research that I did, it was built during that area. And during this time, the homes was built on smaller lots, and the lots was very close together in the street's location, and the designs was for a historical district. And the Tobinville neighborhood was focused on the urban renewal and building up the community and building up the property and getting the people to move into better homes. And during that time, my father moved into that neighborhood back in the 1940s, and it's heir property that was left to me. And I have been in that home since my father passed, and I have raised 3 daughters in that home and put them through college. And now I have a granddaughter that stay with me, and I have a 3-week-old granddaughter, which I want her to be raised in that neighborhood and know the value of that neighborhood and to keep building up the neighborhood with value. So that's why I put in this variance to be allowed to rebuild, to continue the growth of the neighborhood and the rebuilding of that area, so that my family can know the history and the heir property can stay in the community and last on and to continue to build up the neighborhood and upgrade. And I'm praying and believing God that y'all will grant this variance and grandfather me in, so that I will be able to rebuild and continue the growth of the neighborhood.
I'm Jeremy with Personal Services. We're going to be doing the construction on the home. She's in the HUD program for HRAP, the Home Recovery Alabama program. The house is already, the existing house is not in compliance with the setback right now. So what we're proposing is a 1 foot on each side, and it'll actually square her new home up into the center of the new sided lot. So we're only asking for a foot on each side, which would go from 5 foot down to 4. And right now, I think it's 3 on one side and 6 on the other. So it's offset now, the existing home that'll be taken down and a new home will be constructed, requesting the 1 foot variance on each side.
Anyone else in support? I'm sorry, ma'am.
And also the building, the garage that's in the back, I was informed that they're gonna tear that down. So the setback from the street will be much farther from the setback where it is now. because they're gonna tear down the garage structure that's in the back to move the house further back from the street.
Mighty fine. Anyone else in support of this application? Yes, sir. Just have a seat, Ms. Wimberly.
Hi, my name is James Montgomery. My address is 4623 Gulfway Drive, 8 Mile, Alabama. My family home is right next door to this one, 955 Minor Street. That was my grandfather's house, and my mother is sitting, my mother's father. I remember growing up, I tell the story of people. My grandfather grew a garden there, and he would never let us play in his garden, but we watched him pick tomatoes in the garden over there when I was probably 3 years old. So I don't know if I'm not against this application that she's getting a new house built right next to ours. I only looked at the application Thursday evening, and I had to go to a funeral Friday. So I wanted to come speak on possibly an error in the lot size. The drawings that they submitted shows the lot size as 38 feet and the house being constructed being 30 feet, which would put 4 feet on each side. But the plat shows that the lot is 37 feet, so which would be a foot smaller than they're showing. I don't know what's the minimum lot setbacks that are allowed. It's asking for less than 5. So on one side, if the house is truly 30 foot wide, one side would be 3 foot and one side would be 4 foot if the lot is truly 37 foot wide.
I'm going to ask staff to answer the question as to the minimum requirement on setbacks.
It's 37.98 feet wide. So it's literally less than an inch of being 38 feet.
Okay.
Okay.
So it'll be probably 3 foot 11 inches on one side and 311 on the other.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm not, like I said, I'm not opposed to it. We have aspirations of building a new house on that lot as well. The house that is there is probably 75 or 80 years old. We've been shopping and looking for drawings that would fit the 37 foot with 5 foot setbacks. I had no idea that we could come ask for a variance. And that's why I was asking about the minimum lot sizes. I also called and spoke to someone Friday about the code. I know that when you encroach into the building setback, there's a 1 hour fire rating that's generally required for that side of the house to keep any fire that might start from spreading. So I wanted to just ask if that would be a requirement.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, the House, what this board reviews is strictly the setback, the distance of the proposed home from the property line. Building code is enforced by a completely separate department. So any action that this board takes, the new home will still have to comply with building code.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Montgomery, any other questions or concerns before we call for you? As I'm understanding, you kind of neutral. You're not.
Yes, sir.
For
I'm
no,
not-
yes.
Hey, I'm really happy to see
Yeah.
neighbor getting a new house. I mean, it's exciting to know that someone's getting a new house built in the neighborhood.
Okay, so I'll consider you.
When I saw those dimensions, I knew ours for years. I knew it to be 37 foot. And
Yes, sir, Mr.
Sure,
Montgomery. We will consider your comments as in support, if that's okay.
that's fine.
Anyone else in support of this application? Anyone in opposition? Discussion of the board.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Yes, but
Bring your mic up.
it's, I guess in the construction, I'm assuming
Construction.
that you are going to demolish the old house and build a completely brand new structure.
Yes, sir.
That was out.
Yeah, and the only reason we're having to ask for the variance is we only have 9 sets of engineered drawings, and that's the only one that'll kind of fit on this lot. So that's the request for the variance. And we have run into the issue with being too close to the next house. And if, like you said, during the building permit process, we will build accordingly to firewalls. We've done that before in a couple of houses already.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to make a comment. In looking at the neighborhood in there, it seems like there are a good number of structures historically that seem pretty close to the property line. So I don't think that this would be out of character for what's been developed there. I know in the past, and especially in the Midtown area, that seems to be a prevalent theme that we have used to approve some of these.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Any other discussion? The chair will entertain a motion at this time.
Mr. Chair, I'll motion to approve based on findings and facts 1 through 3.
A second.
Move properly seconded. You've heard it as stated. Are you ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, it's by the same. Hearing none. Applicant granted. Okay. Moving on to number 3, 002-940-2024, case number 6591, 2477, location 3008 Government Boulevard.
Good afternoon, Board. My name is J.T. Murphy with Civil Consultants, address 3528 Van Road, Suite 105, Birmingham, Alabama, 35235. I am here representing Air Engineers. They are the owner of this property. Mr. Jeff Bissell, he is the CEO of that company, and he was not able to be here. He sends his apologies. But Jeff and his company, his grandfather started this company many years ago, but they have been in this location on Government Boulevard since 2003 for 21 years. The Mobile market has been very good to them, and they've appreciated being in the Mobile market to date. But what we are requesting from you today is their existing facility, because of the growth that they've seen in the South Alabama market and the Florida Panhandle. They are needing to expand their facility, and they want to remain in this location. For them to expand, they would expand towards Farnell Lane, which is an existing unopened 60-foot right-of-way that is to the east. So the frontage of this property is Farnell Lane. It does have a Government Boulevard address. We are requesting today a variance on the front setback from 25 feet to, let me make sure I get this right, from 25 feet to 10 feet. We're also requesting a variance on the maximum building coverage ratio. The Unified Development Code allows up to 50% maximum building area. With the expansion, we would be closer to 70% of the lot would be developed. So we're requesting a variance on the maximum building ratio. We're also, as submitted, there is a variance for the parking number required. That variance is no longer being requested. We received additional parking information on that site. Warehouse uses is based on number of employees and square footage of office space. There currently exists enough parking spaces to support the proposed development. This variance is requested because we have a condition that is, I would say it's a special condition. We have an unopened right-of-way to our east in Farnell Lane. That right-of-way, according to the city, is used only for access to maintain a drainage ditch to the north. Also, I'll state that the parcel to the east, directly to the east, I believe that's the Royal Knight. That property is under contract currently by the owners, Air Engineers. The Royal Knight, they reached out to Air Engineers to see if they would be interested in purchasing the property, to which they obliged, and is currently under contract. On the Royal Knight property, there lies several zoning issues. The building is constructed over property lines. The parking is currently within the AlDOT right-of-way, and a portion is within the Farnell Lane right-of-way. So if we are able to get everything approved today, the Air Engineers intends on purchasing that parcel. That building will be taken down. It will be raised to allow for better circulation on the primary subject site and to clean up some of the existing zoning issues on that Royal Knight property.
Yes, sir. Allow me to confer to our council at this point for any comments you'd like to make on this application.
Thank you. I was brought into this by a phone call from the attorney for Air Engineers about 2 months ago, before they filed this application, asking if the right-of-way, Farnell Lane right-of-way, could be vacated. I called Nick Amberger, city engineer, talked to him about it. He said no, because of, as this gentleman stated, they used that right-of-way, which is, what is that, it looks like 160. Oh, that's all. It's pretty wide right-of-way there that goes to a ditch. But it will never be opened. Obviously, it'll never be connected to Farnell Lane above the north. But he said the city could not agree to vacate it. Yeah, this is a, yeah. This is like a chicken or egg thing. We have this, there's a picture of this gentleman. Y'all have the letter from the owner and a picture of this right-of-way. And as you can see from the picture and from the drawing on the board, the Royal Knight is pretty much 50% within this right-of-way. The billboard, the lessor on that billboard lease is the Royal Knight. So for them to legally enter into that lease with Lamar Advertising, they had to have owned the land. That tells me, and nobody has been able to determine exactly, it appears to me all this was one big triangular-shaped parcel, and then the Royal Knight was there, and then that right-of-way was condemned. Irregardless, this is a classic case of a piece of property that has a hardship based on the size and or size or the contours of it. I talked again with Mr. Amberger last week about this, and knowing that this company will buy that triangular shaped parcel where the restaurant is, the owner's attorney called me and talked to me. We can't vacate it. What about a swap? Would the city swap that right-of-way for the Royal Knight property once we buy it? And Nick, well, I'll leave that there. But Nick said, yes, that would be a much better situation for the city. It would get, if the city owned that small tract to the right, it would give them better access to the ditch to do their maintenance. And then that right-of-way would be joined in with that property, and none of this would be necessary. There wouldn't be any violations. But how in the heck we have that restaurant and that billboard there, nobody knows. But if you look at the entire site, not just his parcel, but all three parcels combined, and the current status of it, it's a piece of property that is suffering a hardship, in my opinion. And if this can be approved, it can make a bad situation a lot better for the neighbors and for the city.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anything else you want to say before we call for others in support of this application?
I do want to speak. Mr. Anderson mentioned it's a chicken or the egg type of thing. We're requesting a variance today on the 25-foot building setback to 10 feet. And then, of course, we would have future discussions with the city about a vacation of the right-of-way and or a land swap. But the purchase of the Royal Knight property, it may not move forward without a variance on this property. So it's kind of a chicken or the egg type of thing, which we're requesting in the first case, a variance. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone in support of this application? Anyone in opposition of this application? Discussion of the board.
I mean, when they tear the Royal Knight down, where are we going to go for a drink?
Yeah, I was gonna say the same
Is
thing.
that-
I don't
is
want,
it-
I don't want it to go.
I see a hardship the other way.
I do too.
When I had that phone call with Mr. Amberger and told him that, he didn't take it too kindly. He had a few choice words for me or that customer.
Doug, I do have a serious question just for general information. You know, with regards to your first conversation with Nick, I mean, why couldn't they vacate that and do some type of perpetual easement or something?
We had a discussion on it, and you can't, it's very difficult to see. Hold on, there we go. Thank you. Okay. It doesn't. All right. If you'll notice, this lot, I don't know if you can tell, there's 3 dots south of this lot to connect to the service road. This lot's only legal frontage on a public street is Farnell Lane. So if you vacate Farnell Lane, it's a technically, it's a landlocked piece of property. So this just kind of gets the ball rolling.
Yeah, Nick did mention that if it was vacated, they would have to go to AlDOT and get permission for different access points or whatever.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir, Mr.
is this gonna, if they
Midnight.
do pick up the Royal Knight, is this gonna require a sub? Resub?
Eventually,
Yeah.
to clean it all up, yes.
If we
Okay.
do a land swap, if they do a land swap, then yes, there would be a sub. But
Sure.
just the purchase of that Royal Knight would not.
Well, not until they
necessitate-
did something.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay. Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I think I agree with Mr. Anderson that this is a very unusual situation with its own set of hardships. And based upon the considerations and findings of fact, I move for approval, with the exception of the parking request, which has been removed, and subject to all codes and ordinances.
Love to move this motion, but I can't.
Second.
Second, okay. Moved properly, seconded, you've heard it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposes by the same, hearing none. Application approved. All right, thank you. Moving on. 6592, 6106, 5990, 5149, 669 Azalea Road.
Good afternoon. My name is Julia Starr, 7125 Hit Road. And we are here today to ask for a use variance for a previously existing daycare that operated under DHR's monitoring. We're requesting a use variance for us to use that building as we've entered into a lease with the Church of Nazarene. They changed their name recently, I'm sorry, to First Mobile, I think. Am I right? Mobile First, sorry. So we are here to discuss the importance of our program and why we would very much benefit from this zone variance request, and that is that we are a program that continues to respond to the need here in Mobile, Alabama. We are a nonprofit agency that serves children and adults with varying degrees of special needs. I'm a mom of two with autism that are 22 and 21, and I was faced 4 years ago with the opportunity to quit my job or quit my job, pretty much. So I loved what I do, and I serve children with special needs prior to my children. And we had to build a company to serve our aging children. And in those 4 years, we have gone from serving 4 children to over 160 children in our surrounding areas with a 400 child and adult waiting list that I have cut off. I can't accept any more applications because it is unfair to tell parents that they have hope currently of getting in our program in the next 2 years. As a remedy to that, we continue to expand, and this would be our 4th location. It's always hard for us to find a building that works given what we do. We do serve the behaviorally challenging, and we are one of 2 agencies in this area that accepts Medicaid. And so for us, we have to be on a road at minimum that at least allows for public transportation, because as a mom, I can't imagine not being able to get my children to care. And we are a multidisciplinary program that eliminates a lot of those barriers for our parents. So they are able to receive speech therapy, occupational therapy, ABA therapy, education, and vocational training all in one location. So that is why it is extremely important for us to be able to continue to operate as we hope to be able to do. And for us, this was a great opportunity. This was a building that meets almost all of our needs, and also will allow us to serve even more children, which is a growing concern in our area. I think the last time I was here, we were at 1 in 56 prevalence rate, and just in those 2 short years, we are now 1 in 44. So this problem is not going away, and we are kindly requesting that we receive this use variance.
All right, any questions from the board of the applicant? You all in support of this application, it appears. Would you like to say something?
Hello, I'm Judy Bartell Sykes, 2108 Charringwood Drive, East Mobile. And I'm sort of pulling double duty today because I am a board member for the CORE project, and I'm also a mom. My child, Kevin, who's 23, attends the CORE project. But speaking more as a mom today. So the CORE project came into existence at a crucial time for our family. It was during the COVID epidemic, and we were informed that our previous day school, which had been a great day school, but they were closing and they would never reopen. So, along with 70 other families, we had a new reality that we basically had no place for our then 20-year-old son, with severe nonverbal autism and dangerous behavioral issues, not only to himself, but to others. So when the CORE project opened, it was a blessing to our family in many, many ways. It meant that Kevin had a loving day school that he could attend. It meant that he would be around his peers where he's valued and where he feels comfortable. He would be instructed by skilled professionals who understand not only his needs, but that can provide for him in the best way possible. He would have structured social interaction, along with jobs and living skills and instruction on a daily basis. He would have a meaningful schedule that he could anticipate and embrace. And if you know, most people with autism thrive on a schedule, so that's huge. Our family would have the support of an army of loving professionals who would be able to help us 24/7, frankly, in an emergency situation should it arise. And we've had to call that in a couple times. We would have a network of families who understood the day-to-day realities of raising a child with severe special needs. And it would help us hold on to the hope that there is a bright future for my child. So the stark reality for me is that without the CORE project, Kevin would not be able to live at home with us. And we're so grateful that they've been able to help us live the life that we want for our family. And that's why it's important to us.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Would you like to speak also?
Matt McDonald, 11 North Water Street, Suite 1200. I'll be very brief. I'm also a board member for CORE and a lawyer here in Mobile. I think you've heard about the need in the autism community for programs like CORE. We had been occupying a space at the Church of the Redeemer, so this is sort of similar to what we're doing going into what is called the old Church of the Nazarene. I think it's First Mobile now. It is zoned R1. It's on Azalea Road, which has a lot of mixed commercial and residential uses. The building we are in is separate and north of the church building with a separate parking lot built for a church daycare, basically, in 1989. So it has actually had sort of a similar purpose when it was conceived. And it's been operated as a daycare, I think, up until last fall, and the building became vacant. So we're going to be occupying a space that's been vacant. We're going to be using the space in the customary way it's been used since 1989. And I think it would be a substantial hardship, obviously, if we were not permitted the variance and we were held to the R1 zoning. And clearly you've seen, I think it is in the public interest, the need for autism services in this community outstrips the demand by many, many fold. We have, as Jules was saying, we have over 400 families waiting on a waiting list trying to get autism services. We are really in need of this space. They're in need of us occupying the space. And I think it would substantially serve the interest of justice to grant the application. The church is still operating, and we have a member of the church here.
All right, sir. Anyone else in support like to speak? Anyone in opposition? Yes, sir. Come on. You want to speak? Come on.
Bless you.
Good afternoon. I'm Virgil Albertson, 9813 Old Stage Road, Moss Point, Mississippi. I'm representing Mobile First Church of the Nazarene and in support of the CORE project. I'm the bookkeeper and office manager, etc. Unfortunately, we had to close the daycare after 30 some odd years last September due to financial considerations. And we do not ever foresee being interested in restarting up a new daycare there. But the building is now vacant. We're looking for a great occupant for it. And we feel that their corporation, what they do fits in well with the church's goals. So,
thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone in opposition? Discussion of the board.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to just make one notation. And with this being R1, we've had a lot of discussions lately about daycares in R1 zoning, and I think this is an exception.
Yes, sir.
And this is not a residential subdivision. This is a commercial corridor and a commercial structure, and I think that it would just make sense to allow this continued use. Thank you.
Point well taken by the chair. Any more discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
And just to piggyback on that, the only reason that this is required is because churches are allowed to be built in R1 districts. So if that were not the case, then there would be no reason for them to be here. And with that, I'd like to move for approval.
Second. I will state that the church back 30 some odd years ago, when they started that daycare, did get a use variance. So the use variance has been in existence. That was for child daycare. This is different, but variance has been there.
Been motioned and seconded. You heard it stated.
One moment.
Mr.
I'm sorry.
I wanted to clarify. I noticed that on the report.
Speak in the mic for us, please. Speak in the mic for us, please.
I noticed on the report that they still had it on there that a traffic impact study would be required here. A traffic impact study would not be required. I thought I talked to planning about that. Did y'all note it anywhere? I didn't see anything.
No, we had that discussion after reports had been posted, so we didn't have an ability to amend that, so.
Okay, just to clarify.
And Mr. Chair, we need to note the findings of fact.
Yes, based upon the findings of fact and consideration.
All right.
The condition.
And any conditions, or anything else? Any conditions? Okay, we're good with that, Mr. Metcalf and Mr. Morris. What's been amended here?
Yes, I still second.
Heard the motion is stated, we're ready to vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed is by none, hearing none. Application approved. Thank you all. All righty, moving right along to our last item here on the agenda. 6593, 5981, 4384, 4357, 251 Government Street. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, distinguished members of the board and everyone else. We're here to discuss a variance on an individual storefront sign for the Admiral Hotel, located right next door. And what we propose is to have that storefront sign attached to the underside of the gallery.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, just point of order. We need your name and address, please, sir.
Certainly. My name is Pietro Giardini, 5163 Stablegate Lane, Charleston, South Carolina. Here representing 251 Government Street. Thank you. So we are proposing to attach this sign to the underside of the gallery as opposed to the surface of the building as it's laid in the code. The reason why we propose that is because that sign would not be very visible if it were to be attached to the building itself. And because of the hotel's location, surrounded by parking lot, government buildings, and law offices, we feel that visibility is of the utmost importance. We also feel strongly that we would be able to attain that visibility by at the same time reducing the square footage of the signage compared to what is currently present. And also that signage seemed to be more historically fitting based on pictures that we found from the old Admiral Sam's from the 50s and 60s.
Okay, anyone doesn't appear that would be in opposition to this application, or in support of it first. Anyone in opposition? Hearing none or seeing, we will now have some discussion from the board.
I'll just make a comment as somebody who works in downtown a lot. I do think that the sign is in keeping with the spirit of the downtown code with regards to its appropriateness and I think the aesthetic nature of it. So I would be in favor of it.
Anyone else with discussion? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
Move for approval, Mr. Chair, based upon considerations in the application or in the report.
Second.
Move properly seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposes by the same, hearing none. So ordered, sir. All right. Okay, we have a couple of more items here that we need to look at prior to our adjournment. One is the adoption of the 2024-2025 filing deadline and meeting schedule.
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
I sent an email on the filing deadline and meeting date schedule. You know, we kind of run on autopilot, but I just wanted the board to consider next year for the July meeting. July 4th falls on a Friday. July 1st falls on, I believe, the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. 1, 2, 3. No. Give me a calendar.
I refuse to look at the calendar.
Yeah, okay. So July 4th is on a Friday. Normally, we'd have the meeting the following Monday, the 7th, but I don't know how many board members would be making potentially a longer holiday weekend, or you could roll it to the following week, which is, what's that date? The 14th. So bear that in mind. Do you want to go with what's proposed with the meeting on July 7th, or do you want to roll it forward a week to July 14th?
Discussion of the board.
Maybe we could use it to our advantage with our wife that we can't take a more expensive trip because we have to be here for the board meeting. Will that work?
That'd work, except for this whole YouTube streaming thing.
Any other discussion? Motion for adoption.
So moved, Mr. Chair. Subject to Margaret being in attendance.
You've heard the motion as stated. All in favor?
Aye.
As proposed?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none. So adopted. Is that okay, Ms. Margaret? The other item we need to consider prior to our departure here is the approval of the minutes from April 1 and May 6 board discussion motion. I think we've been emailed those minutes for approval to expedite
Yes,
time.
sir. And they're in a folder on your iPads as well.
Okay, good deal. Good deal.
We need the April 1 minutes approved, definitely, because that's the meeting where the St. Ignatius Cemetery was denied, and we're in court, and we're starting already to take depositions and discovery requests, so we need those approved today if possible.
Yes, sir. Specifically set and apart from including April minutes. Okay, okay. Okay. We heard the direction from council. What's the
Motion to approve both April and May.
Second.
minutes accepted and approved? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. All right. What else we have here? All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Yeah. Thank you.